What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rip City Rundown, and I'm going to be previewing UConn versus Iona in this one, the 4:13 in Albany, New York. Again, home game models tend to lean. I want to say Iona in this one, but I think UConn fans will absolutely flock New York. Give me UConn in this one just based on the size, but Iona obviously is in New York, so home game models, give me UConn. But let's jump into the preview of this one. I think that UConn is. I'm honestly not sure how to feel about UConn. I can't tell if they're really good or they are a fraud. Obviously, they were unranked to start the year. They started 14-0 before getting into conference play. Some of their best wins on the year include a win over Iowa State, a win over number 1 overall seed Alabama by 15, a win over Oklahoma State. They beat Providence 2 times. They beat Marquette. They beat Creighton. They also lost to Xavier twice, lost to Marquette twice. So this team's got a pretty good resume. They're 6th in the BPI. They went 13-7 in conference play, but they are led by their center, forward, whatever you want to call him, Adama Sanogo, 16.8 points per game, 7 rebounds, and the man gets on the glass, I can tell you that. And he can shoot the three, 35% from three. That is where all their offense comes from, and he's the key player to watch in this one. Another player on this UConn team, Jordan Hawkins, he can shoot the ball from three, 37% from three, 16 points per game. This team it's a pretty complete team, honestly. I'm surprised they weren't as highly rated to start the year, given with how well they played. But that's what's the beauty of college basketball. That's what makes it so special. The key with UConn, in the games they've lost, it's been because of foul trouble. While they have a balanced team, they're not necessarily deep. So a lot of times, teams can get to the free throw line, really slow down the game against them. I mean, this is a team that averages 78.5 points per game, so they're a pretty good offensive team. If you can force them to foul you, slow down the game, that's how you can have some success against this UConn team. You look on the other side, you've got Rick Pitino and Iona back in the tournament again, and it's another classic Rick Pitino team. They don't turn the ball over. They force turnovers on the defensive end. And they have a ton of momentum as they have not lost since January. And they're led by MAAC Player of the Year, Walter Clayton Jr. He averaged 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists from the guard position, and he can shoot the absolute lights out of the ball. 43% from 3 from Walter Clayton Jr. And then they also have 2 other 15-point per game scorers, Dennis Jenkins and then also Nelly Jr. Joseph. One's a guard, one's a forward. They all play 30-plus minutes. Other than that, they get a little bit of scoring from Quinn Slazinski, the forward, but he's only played 7 games this year. I'm not sure his status for the tournament. But this is a team that relies a lot, obviously, on their top 3 scorers. And if you can slow them down, that's how you can have success. Now, Iona hasn't played a really good team at all this year. They lost to New Mexico by 8, lost to Hofstra by 5, and beat Vermont by 21. Those are their 3 so-called big-time opponents, and clearly none of them match anything that UConn's played. So I think a key when it comes to this team is Walter Clayton Jr. He is the most accurate free throw shooter in the country. Didn't even realize that when I first was doing some research on him. Obviously, I haven't watched Iona once this year, but that's the case with a lot of these mid-major teams. A team like UConn should have plenty of success against them, as Iona, doesn't necessarily have a ton of size on their team. Their bigs are, they do have size, but they don't have size that can match the likes of UConn's Adama Sanogo. They haven't played a player like that all year. So I think if UConn can just out-hustle them, if UConn can, Iona, like I said, they like to force turnovers, and that's because they play a press. Now, that can speed the game up, which I think honestly favors UConn because UConn is such a good offensive team. And Sanogo can run the floor, too. He's not just a half-court player where he has to get the ball in the post. He thrives on the offensive glass. Sorry for the NIT special right there. But I think this is a pretty easy pick for me. Give me UConn. I don't see an upset happening in this one. UConn moves on. The only way we see an upset is if Rick Pitino pulls out a Rick Pitino masterclass, which I guess isn't out of the realm of possibilities. But give me UConn to move on fairly easily for this 4-13 matchup.